We are at the New Growth Project farm here in Rockford, Michigan, with the New Growth Project founders, Christine O'Driscoll and Carly VanDuinen, and of course, Ben Johnston, the newly appointed, 30 days in, I guess, marketing director here at Locavana as well. So again, thank you guys for being here. It's awesome, and we got a great day for it too.
Yeah, beautiful out today. Thank you.
So let's just start with New Growth Project. You guys can certainly introduce it better than I. So tell us just about what is New Growth Project, how did you start it, what's the mission of the organization?
81% of individuals, adults with disabilities, are unemployed in our county. So that often leaves them estranged from the community, depressed, anxious, just not having really a purpose in life. Carly and I saw years ago that there was a gap for employment opportunities. So we came together in 2021 and opened New Growth Project to provide meaningful employment, to grow nutritious food for the community. And combining those two together, we have, you're going to have to cut this out because I just forgot what I was saying.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're doing great. We've quickly learned how much of a benefit is to both the population we serve and the community around us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is where I was going. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we've seen in just the few short years that we've opened that we are quickly able to identify skill sets in the adults that we seek to serve, build job skills, help them grow in confidence, and they have certainly plugged into the community by growing food for the community. And Carly and I both are of the mindset that food is medicine. So we grow with biology and not chemistry here at New Growth Project, and believe that we are better than organic in bringing a product to the consumers that they're really looking for.
So did you start and say, the first thing I want to do is figure out how to get employable skills for people in this demographic? Or did you know it was going to be a farm right off the bat? Did farming, was it like, oh, farming is perfect for this? Or was it like, we want to make a farm?
We definitely bounced around different ideas. We knew that the purpose of what we were doing was to provide job opportunities. But my experience is from helping start a community integration program in Colorado. And while doing that, we worked at a pizza kitchen and a restaurant. We cleaned a gym, but we went to a farm. And at the farm, it was just so apparent that each of the individuals that were with us could really focus on the task at hand and really learn different skills and such. And so when Christine and I were bouncing around different ideas, it was always related to food because we do believe food is medicine. And so if we were going to have a food truck, it was going to be not your typical food truck. You know, we want that healthy food for the community and such. And we were really loved that it works hand in hand. We could teach job skills and life skills. And so when the farm the opportunity for the farm arose, we just really felt like that, okay, this is it. And a few months in, a year in, we were like, wow, this is it, more than we even knew it was going to be. So
That's so cool. I mean, I think one of the things that's amazing, no matter who you are, if you're out and you're outside, you're gardening, you're in nature, I mean, there's a tremendous psychological sort of strength that comes from that.
Yeah, and you say food is medicine, but I think the cultivation of it is a medicine in and of itself as well, with the sun and the soil. And Can you speak on that a little bit? How you see that impact the people that you work with here?
You're referring to agro-therapy.
I
like it.
There's a word
Yeah,
for it.
absolutely. We all know we feel better when the day is sunny, right? And we can be outside and our feet touch the ground, right? So that benefit comes through as we plant seeds in soil, as we transplant seedlings into the ground, as we are pulling weeds, as we're harvesting, washing. It's all of that touching what the earth is producing, lends all of those good feelings and release of oxytocin. And really, Carly needs to talk about the low sensory output that happens on the farm.
Yeah, the environment we're in, there's not a lot it's not like we're in the city and there's cars driving by and there's people and the busyness of life. You know, you come out to the farm and there is the wind, maybe a tractor going by, or you hear the chickens balking, but really you can take that low sensory output from the environment, low sensory input to the person themselves, and really be able to focus and kind of, that's a huge part of the therapy, is like, I mean, it kind of relates to equine therapy in a way that you're able to be on a horse and just focus on so much more because that horse is doing the walking for you, right? And you're here at the farm and you're harvesting. Your mind, you can almost get to a place where you're just harvesting tomatoes. Okay, it's red. And you can release like that anxiety, and also while decreasing, you know, more so increasing your sun intake and being outdoors, which helps fight your like depression. And a lot of the community that we work with, unfortunately, whether it's because of societal and community impacts of not having a purpose every day, or you know, something to do, or friends, you know, they come here to the farm and can boost so much of, like Christine was saying, like serotonin, and decrease that anxiety and such. So yeah.
That's awesome. So what is the inspiration for, how did you guys decide to start New Growth Project?
We've talked about it for years. We're family. Carly's my niece, and my oldest daughter has a genetic condition that just impacts her ability to function completely independently. She needs some support. She really actually did well interviewing and getting a job, but maintaining it was really difficult because the support that she needs to be successful wasn't there. So we saw this together, and then through Carly's experience in working with the population that we serve for years, we're just like, we just got to do something. And we live in a state where it's very generous. There's a lot of programs, but there's not a lot of actual employment opportunities, and we are committed to providing employment opportunities and building that independence. We are uncovering a lot of skills in the individuals that we employ that we don't think would be normally seen in a typical employment scenario because the time isn't there, the training's not there. So our goal is to build those job skills, create more independence, so eventually they can go and possibly work in the community as well. So the inspiration started very personally, but also in just surveying the community and like, you know what, we're missing something here.
Yeah, and I think too, like what Carly was saying about the mental health aspect of it, it's providing fulfilling work. It's not just being a cog in the economy. Like you're getting to really see how your work benefits the community. So it all, like the physical element, the sun, the soil, all of that. But it's honorable and it means something. And like having your work be purposeful in and of itself, I think is super valuable. So that's where the farm setting really, I think, merges with your concept perfectly because it's awesome.
Absolutely. We have one employee who, you know, every year we ask employees, like, what was your favorite part of the season? You know, what'd you like? And his response was, I loved being able to plant the seed, help the plant grow, harvest the vegetable, and then watch a customer purchase those vegetables.
That's cool.
And that was
That's so cool.
Yeah, one of the neatest responses I think I've heard from our employees. And he's not like, oh, I want to be a farmer. He was like, oh, I want a job. And I want to be somewhere where they accept me. And so he's learned a ton, and it's just been so neat. I didn't necessarily expect that, and it was really cool to hear because we feel the same way. And like like what you're saying, it's the job. Farming is purpose. There's a lot to it there.
Yeah, I grew one time a successful tomato plant in a pot. That's the extent of my farming, but it was incredible. I was like, this is the best tomato I've ever had.
Yeah.
But it honestly is. It's like a very rewarding thing to garden and to grow food, let alone to do it and, like you said, sell it, and you're nourishing a population. That's tremendously rewarding. So awesome organization. And then you also have like a pretty strong angle on nutrition itself, and some some double benefit goals there, right?
Absolutely. So through, whether it's as a CSA member through our program or you're shopping our farm store, we like to make available recipes, educate our consumers on what different products are that we offer. Not everyone knows what a patty pan squash is, so we're making sure everybody does, or how to prepare a rutabaga, for example. And then just, offering a lot more information rather than just here's your vegetables. Because we feel like knowledge is power. The more you know about what you're purchasing, the more you know how to use it for your health.
Absolutely. And we've partnered with the Grand Valley State University, a few interns there in the nutrition and dietetics program. And what's been really cool to see with them is that they get all this knowledge through school, which this is nothing against school, college, Grand Valley at all. But they get to come here and really learn our perspective on it and see, we have asked them to take look at the list of produce we're growing, find out the nutrients, figure out a way to share that with our customers, and build that in a recipe, things like that. And so we have a lot of those resources, and it's been kind of like a hand in hand, because they learn from us, but we've also learned from them. And when they learn from us, is they're out there in the field, they're also harvesting it and seeing like, oh, okay, you guys aren't spraying chemicals, and that's keeping this nutrients, or you're watching how many days that, since you've harvested it until it's in your consumer's hand, and how much it can be depleted in such a quick, I guess not quick way, but like it can be depleted, but we're making sure, we're not spraying chemicals on it so that it's ripe in one color, so that a customer gets a beautiful vegetable, where we're looking for the nutrients and the non-chemical part of the produce. So.
Yeah, you guys have been, I've been impressed constantly with how sophisticated you guys are and how, you're dug in. So Carly, you live this. This is you live right here. You live on the farm, you do this. Talk about your farming practices and all those things that you.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we bought this farm, a 21-acre farm, and for over 30 years, it was chemical free. And so that's when we talk about, we jumped around with a few different ideas. We saw this opportunity as like, whoa, like how can we pass up some from farmers that took care of the land and brought in good nutrients into the soil and such. And so we definitely, Christine and I believed like, okay, we're going to carry that on. And so the first year, we learned from the farmers here as mentors and learned their practices. And then we've kind of taken it even further. We care about, what's going into the consumer's mouth, and care about our employees and what we're taking in as spraying, but we also care about the land around us. So we're MEEP certified, which is an agricultural practice to just say that we're taking care of like the soil and the waterways around us. But really, I guess farming chemical-free has brought a light, I guess has kind of made Christine, I'm talking for you right now, but kind of has made us realize that, and we already knew this, but when you're working on it and doing it every day, practicing it, you realize that you don't need those chemicals. So like, I want the tasty strawberry that, is in our strawberry patch, and so does the community, and they also want to bring their kids to like a U-Pick strawberry patch, but there's nowhere around here that doesn't spray their chemicals. Well, when you got kids around, doing U-Pick, they want to eat the strawberries as they're picking. And so we have found like little things like that, or like we want to give even tours to the community. Come out, try cucamelons, because that's my favorite thing to show everyone. And they're little sour cucumbers that look like a watermelon, and I want them to be able to take that off of the plant and not be throwing a chemical that was just sprayed on it that morning, but what it takes is a lot more a lot more time of looking at, okay, what pests are hurting this plant? Do we need to grow 3 times more for our cucumbers? Because our cucumbers could be totally taken out because we're not spraying a bunch of herbicides, pesticides, stuff like that. And so, we kind of have 2 areas we have to look at. One, we don't want to pack our produce so tight that it's harder for our employees who might need a little bit more stable ground or a little bit more area for a chair to sit down, that kind of thing. We want enough room in each row in between our produce that they can have that availability, right? And we can accommodate for that. But we also don't want to lose out on the space that we have to be able to plant crops. So going into our 4th season, we have to find a balance of, okay, we want to plant, I don't know, 5 times more onions this year. Okay, but we don't want them to all be so close together, right? We want to plant that many more onions because different things like, bugs, stuff like that. It's harder to know when you get the onion out of the ground. Is it going to be completely taken, deteriorated because of pests? Well, we're not going to spray to make sure that that doesn't happen. So
yeah. I think that too, like, I think it connects us more with the land. And like, that's where I'm just getting historical a little bit, like transitioning from like hunter-gatherer to more of an agro economy and growing and all that kind of stuff. You were one with your land. You were a steward of your land. And I think that's what we need to go back to. And I think that's what you guys sort of practice here. You live here. You are way more intentional about where you're growing things, because you have to be. Crop rotations, you have to, where everything is to combat what conventional pesticides otherwise would. And that's what it always was. Like you had to be there. You can't go on a vacation for a season because, you have to, and that's what a lot of modern farms are, where it's like, it's kind of automated, it's very industrial. But
spray it and leave it mentality. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think you mentioned soil health too, and I wanted to get into that a little bit because I think we're going through a bit of a soil revolution of people learning what that means, and that a cucumber from here versus a cucumber from Walmart isn't necessarily the same thing. It's really about where it came from and how it was grown. So could you speak a little bit about what you guys do to ensure that your soil is healthy and what that means for the nutrient density of your food?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do soil testing. We do it for each, we kind of have our farm sectioned out, and we do, like you said, crop rotation. But we'll take, for instance, the plot, it's like about 100 feet by 100 feet. And we'll take and test that area and each of those little plots. I think we have 8 in our backfield. And then we'll look at, okay, so last year we planted tomatoes there. This is what the soil testing is showing. And then we do cover crop. Right now this past year we did a lot of winter rye, maybe
Some red clover.
Mm-hmm. And so then we'll do the soil testing. And then when we're planning for what crop's going to go in there next, we look at, okay, this is deficient in either potassium, nitrogen, or phosphorus. And then we'll either add, we talk about better than organic, but we use, when needed, we use all organic certified products. So whether that's potash, and Jordan, our farmer, is so knowledgeable on all of this and has taught me a lot and learned a lot. And so I'm going to probably trip up on a few of these things, but we use different nutrients that we bring in, right? And we get our soil back to where it needs to be for the crop that's being grown. So for example, like you were saying, if we're going to we grew tomatoes last year in one spot, but this year we're going to grow lettuce there, let's say. Well, the lettuce needs totally different nutrients than what the tomatoes themselves needed. And so, or the tomatoes depleted the soil of a certain nutrient, so we have to build it up a lot more than we would where maybe the potatoes were grown or where the beans were growing. And so it's really important to look at each area of soil. And when you do soil testing, you take a certain tool and you dig, you go kind of deep into the soil and you're getting like 6 to 10 different areas from that entire field and then mixing it together and you send it in. And we actually work with, is it Morgan Composting? Mm-hmm. And they will do a certain mix of soil for us for the plants that we're growing in our greenhouse before putting them into the field. Because one thing we did learn, like I mentioned, we bought this beautiful land that was chemical free. Well, they were using a lot of chicken manure fertilizer as their fertilizer, and it really spiked some of our nutrients and depleted others. And so when that happened, we had to completely cut using that. Like they literally, with our soil testing, had to say, you got no chicken manure, hold off on it a little bit. And so then we got a special mix, and that's what we've been using to start all of our plants. And then, as the years go and we continue to build it up with cover crop, which is so, so important, then we'll be able to start using it again if we feel the need to. The other thing is, like, we use a winter cover crop, right? And then if we are done with, like, let's say onions grow and we're done with them in the summer, we'll put in a temporary cover crop just to keep that soil, like, give it that quick nutrients right after whatever crop, it could be deteriorating the nutrients in the soil.
It's a lot of thought that goes into that.
There is so much thought. And there's one thing I wanted to mention too that I think is so cool what we do, and I don't know if a lot of farms do this or not. It's just companion planting, but we do it on a scale, pretty large scale, with our tomatoes and our basil. So between every tomato plant, we grow basil. And we also put calendula all around.
I'm Italian, so like this is just
Making you hungry?
Starving right now.
When you mentioned that pasta, that tomato sauce, your special recipe, we're like, yeah, we got tomatoes, we got basil.
If you plant garlic next to them, now forget about it.
Our garlic that we plant is an heirloom garlic. It's been here
that's
40
the
years,
best.
I think. Yeah, so it's been part of it. But finish your thought.
With companion planting. So what's really cool about that is the basil attracts the bugs that are gonna go to the tomatoes first, right? So instead of taking out our tomatoes, they'll hit the basil. They can take some of our basil because we've grown plenty, right? And then
It grows so much faster than tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we still get a good crop out of it. We can still harvest a lot, but it continues to grow and it continues to help. It also helps with the flavor of the tomato. And the other thing is, I'm sorry.
Put a little mozzarella in there, now you got a caprese sauce.
There you go. And
Well, I was just going to say, at break time, it's a great aisle to walk down.
Absolutely.
a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
You bet.
Is it those big giant worms that it attracts? What are
Those hornworms.
Those are the crazy. Those things are prehistoric.
They are
That is
an
the craziest
attraction
looking
here.
thing I've ever seen.
So they actually,
We
You ever
handpicked
seen one of those?
I don't
The
think
tomato
so.
They get this
hornworm.
big. They're huge.
Jeez.
And they look like a toy.
They look like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I saw a picture, I've seen them.
we'll have to
before,
show
but-
them to you.
Yeah.
And they we found some that are this small. We found some that are about this long, and they get really thick.
And they could eat a tomato in like 6 minutes.
And it does.
We handpick those. We handpick
You
those
have
off.
to.
That's
That's the
our,
only way to get rid of them,
pest
Yeah.
patrol with them.
Yeah.
And we actually feed them to our chickens. It's like a
that's
big,
awesome.
big
It's like
snack.
a steak dinner for a chicken.
Yes, they love it. But the other thing I was going to say is actually the basil is not helping with those as much as other pests.
Okay.
So unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's when you find those. I mean, we actually this past year got UV lights, and because when you go out at night, you shine the UV light and they glow.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's cool until you find
It's like a
like
glow worm.
50. yeah. And then you're like, it's cool until you're like midnight. All right,
Yeah,
let's go
right.
get those
The whole
tomato
thing lines
hornworms.
up and you're just
Yeah.
like, okay, this is
Yeah.
going to take a while.
So something we've been hearing about a lot recently is the average age of farmers in America is super high. I mean, mostly above retirement age. So naturally, in the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a lot of farmland up for sale. New generations of farmers coming in. And while you guys had the obviously blessing of having land that had never been contaminated with any sort of pesticides, that's not the case for millions of acres across the U.S. So when it comes to soil health, can you speak a little bit about soil regeneration? So if you are looking to start a farm and all of this farmland is going to be up for sale, can we regenerate that soil? Can it be back to what it would have been before it was touched by synthetic chemicals?
Want me to go? I think it's a process.
Yeah.
Anything that's wounded has to heal, right? So that's why I love, Carly was talking about the cover crop. And even if we have an open field, but just for a short part of the season, we make sure we get a cover crop. the benefits of that is that it pulls the nutrients up. There's different crops that we use to pull the nutrients into the soil that it needs. And I think if there's more of an understanding of how that works, not only for soil regeneration, but it also, it's been shown that farmers that use cover crop don't have such a high heat index when they're not planting versus barren fields have a higher heat index. So there's a lot of benefits to that. So the more that people are using cover crop, or maybe even part of our front field we haven't even farmed yet, we're just letting that go natural, and just letting it become the meadow that it wants to be, and then eventually turn that back into the soil. So there is a process. I think there's time, and there's amendments you can bring in that aren't filled with toxic, product that you can bring in. We did that with our hoop house, and rebuilding that soil just got depleted. It became sandy. So we brought in some great compost. We've had a couple rounds of cover crops in there just to rebuild it. So I think that the possibility is there.
Yeah.
And Carly and Jordan can speak to this too, but we're meeting so many great farmers that are younger farmers. I'm the old lady in the group here, so I make us
I've
old.
noticed, not your old lady. We talk to a lot of farmers too, and I have noticed a lot of younger families that are getting into farming, and
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
I'm surprised in a way, but
Well, there's a huge movement going on, especially of moms. They're looking at what they're feeding their kids and what's actually in it, and noticing immediate behavior changes if they're drinking something with a bunch of red dye or sugar or processed foods or the
that
oils.
is for real.
For real.
I have seen it with
We've
my
all
own
seen it.
eyes, and
don't,
it is
don't need a
the
peer-reviewed study to
scariest thing.
tell you.
I mean, I saw
Yes.
one of my kids because we don't, we very little of any of that in our household, and it was a Christmas time. Somebody gave one of my kids, again, no big deal, like some are gummy fruit snacks or something, and she was like different.
Yeah.
And my wife is the one, because my wife is smart about that stuff, a lot smarter than I am. And she was like, I guarantee if you go look at the package, that thing has red dye in it. And
Absolutely.
I looked, sure did. And it wasn't even the one they banned. It was the one that's supposedly okay.
Right.
Well, and it's a drug too, and they'll experience withdrawal. Even if you have it once, it's like sweet isn't the same. Honey isn't the same if you've tasted these like oils, like corn. Yeah, it's just.
So I think that's driving the young interest for sure.
That's good.
Personally, my daughter, who was a big inspiration for this place, a lot of health issues, took her to a lot of doctors. Everybody's like, her system's fine. She's fine. Everything's fine. She was not fine. So decided to do a deep dive into health, got a certificate as a health coach, learned a lot about food science, how it affects your gut, how to rebuild your gut.
Yeah.
And it's all about choosing the right foods and understanding your body's telling you things. You have intolerances to certain things because maybe I was one of the moms. Here's chicken nuggets, I'm busy. Here's this and that. And just if I could do it again, I would do it very differently to avoid some of these gut issues. But I think that's a huge driving force behind what we're seeing right now with the Make America Healthy Again. I mean, that movement is nonpartisan. Everybody wants to eat well and feel well. I mean, if we don't have health, we don't have anything, right? And we see that in my daughter.
That's
when she
the quote
comes
of the
here,
day right there. That's true. I mean, that is.
My daughter doesn't feel well and she shows up to work. She really can't participate, So how you eat dictates the rest of your life, So that I feel like that is a big driver behind what we're seeing. Young people really understanding like, hey, actually, I don't need to feel like this. I can do something better and eat better.
Yeah, and I think it's not knowing why you feel that way. And so many people are just kind of oblivious to it, and it's not necessarily their fault. It's, it's been conditioned in them for their whole lives. It's like that's their homeostasis is feeling bad. So it's like, and you don't know until you change.
Yeah.
So there's a big education gap for a lot of people because it's what you've always known, especially people, my age and younger and even a little older. That's like, we've only known like processed foods.
Right.
And I'm lucky enough to have grown up not in that kind of world, but it's just a different way of life. And until you try it and you really get, like, you don't know that conventional grain from the bread you're eating is making your gut shot and
Leak,
and it's
yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
I see a lot of parallels to the gut health and the soil health.
And mental health. Don't forget the third.
Well, and that's what the gut, people call your gut is like your second brain. I think it's probably even
Might be
your
the
first
first.
brain.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure. But it's really looking at the root cause and like, but you can rebuild it. I think that's why I see that
Absolutely.
parallel between the gut and the soil is like, it's just because it's depleted now doesn't mean it has to be forever. You can heal it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I've sort of analyzed, like, how did we get here too? It's an interesting, if you look back, because I don't know, 100 years, maybe 120, everything you ate was from your town because there was not the same logistics that we have today. And then you had this period of time in America in the 40s, late 30s, 40s, where there was not enough food. And it's hard. I think it's impossible for somebody alive today to really internalize the idea of like, I couldn't, if I was willing to eat anything, if I was willing to eat McDonald's or potato chips or soda or whatever, it's just, there would be none. Like I could walk around in my town and there would be no food and everybody would be hungry. Like, I don't think we can really think about that.
Yeah.
Or we can think about, you couldn't empathize with it because it's so foreign to today where it's like everything is like eat some more, eat some more, eat some more,
Abundance, yeah.
eat some more.
Well, processed food is designed to make
Exactly.
you want more.
And that was the whole, so the government, again, I don't necessarily think we're today where we find ourselves is necessarily, well, at least the genesis wasn't nefarious. The genesis was there's 100 million people in America starving, and the government's like, what can we grow? Corn. Grow a bunch of it. Just
Yep.
grow as much of it as you can.
Wheat.
And we'll make it, and wheat, and then how can we stretch it? How can we make, sugar out of it? How can we make white bread? How can we do, like, we just need people to stop being hungry. Then you get to the sort of, you complete the Industrial Revolution. Now you're into the 50s and 60s, and businesses start to consolidate. And you start to have these huge corporations and these conglomerates. And now they're really focused. They go public, and they've got stock, and they have shareholders to worry about. And they're like, well, I don't know, nobody's complaining, so let's just keep doing it.
Good intention.
And I think today people are coming full circle to the idea that, okay, we're not hungry, but we're actually all starving because we're eating garbage and we don't feel hungry, but we are not nourished. We are not healthy.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we are today. And it's good because I would say people of my generation probably are the middle, where it's like we grew up on Fruity Pebbles and Pop-Tarts and, but people that are younger, fortunately, are like, I don't want to feel like garbage.
Right.
Well, too, I think something, what you just said at the end there is like, people like to say like, I ate like that growing up and I turned out just fine. But when you look at the Fruity Pebbles and the Pop-Tarts from when you were growing up, it didn't have the red 40. It didn't
that's
have
true
the yellow
too.
5.
Yeah, that's a good
didn't-
point.
It's changed. And I think also when you talk about like the nefariousness and, it started out, it didn't start out nefarious, but I see what people are starting to wake up to is like, it's 2025 and the food pyramid hasn't changed in 30 years. We have all this different knowledge, but you still see now like the marriage between industry and government is still just as strong as it was, even though we know now way more about our health and what's good for you and what the real food pyramid should look like. So I think people are starting to take it into our own hands. And I think you mentioned like the Maha moms and that whole movement. That's really it's grassroots. It's starting. It's voting with your dollar, and because that's where
and your fork.
Yeah, you can't rely on the government to.
I just thought
to
of
do it for
something.
you.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I just have brilliant ideas.
Do share.
Has anybody come up with a T-shirt yet that says like "Mama," like MAHAMA,
Oh, Bahama.
like Mahama, like
Bahama
like,
Mama. Or Maha
if
Mama.
not, then
You own it. Make it.
You could do
you
a-
heard it first,
Do
right
Maha
here.
Mama.
Maha
Maha
Mama.
Mama.
Yeah.
There you go. I wanted to
Right.
go back to something you were saying, Ben, about just growing up and realizing you don't want to feel good or whatnot. There's a common phrase used in health coaching and dietitian and all of that, but it's common, but it's not normal. And I think that's what's happening in society, that we're realizing,
Totally.
oh yeah, this is common, but it's not really normal, and encouraging people to think, you know what, did your grandparents eat this? Or did your grandparents ever, have this issue? It's a really good way to measure and get us back to eating how it was intended, how, we were intended to eat. And the more we get away from that processed food, the more our taste buds are able to actually understand how good, natural, fresh, better than organic vegetables.
Well, and it is incredible when you give somebody food from like a farmer's market, locally grown food. I mean, the difference is palpable.
Yes.
In how much better it tastes. I mean, there's just no comparison.
Yep.
And it's really hard once you do start to eat local stuff, to eat not local stuff and not notice the difference. I mean, there is no question that local is better. All the science is there for how nutrients start to degrade, and if something's been transported for weeks, it is just not going to be the same.
Right.
There's no way. And if
Right.
if its ripeness was induced by a chemical or something like that, it's just there's no way. But it's and the other thing though, just to clarify one thing, I said we ate like that. I didn't say we ate like that and we're fine.
Yeah.
We ate like that and we're not fine.
Right,
That's
yeah.
the
Yeah.
problem.
Right.
So you mentioned the better than organic, and something that I hear a lot talking to certified organic farmers is that if you're going to farm organically and you're going to use the more expensive certified inputs and you're going to spend the time, you should be certified organic. So now this is what you hear from a lot of certified organic farmers is that, hey, if a farm is telling you that they're completely organic, but they're not certified, they should be. It's not, and this is from them, not from me. They say it's not that expensive. It's just some paperwork. What would you say to those people, and why to not go through the certification process, and what it means to you to be better than organic?
I mean, I think that's all interesting, and I would love to talk to organic farmers a little bit more about their reasoning behind that. My understanding is that it's a lot of like red tape type of thing. They're checking and watching every move, and not that it would matter to us because we are practicing that way.
Yeah.
It's more so like we don't feel like we need to be certified. We're not even like, okay, so like let's say our tomatoes have a big issue. We're not going to purchase organic spray, to like help our plant, because really what is the research behind that organic product, and really where is it coming from? How do we know every single thing about it? And if we can do it without spraying a thing at all, then we can do it that way.
Yeah.
And we believe that is better for us and the soil and such.
So there are chemicals you can use and still be considered organic?
Yeah,
For sure.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
there's
know that.
organic pesticides, organic fertilizers.
Oh.
So there's a situation. So Jordan and I met this guy who was at a restaurant, and he was visiting from Texas. His job is to sell for some company. I don't remember the name of it, but he sells chemicals for, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, I guess, but for farmers to spray on their produce. So they spray, let's say you have a green pepper and it's your red pepper plant, and you are selling to a big store, and you can't like sell 5 peppers here or 50 peppers here and 100 there. I mean, scale that up and down, right? But you can spray them, and they will not only get changed perfectly one color, but they will also fall off of the plant like easily. So like you just grab that pepper. So it is a chemical that is making the product look pretty and be easily harvested. They had just found a way to make an organic spray that would do the same thing.
Wow.
And so to me, there's no way. I mean, it's an ethylene, right? Like it's it's a gas. It's a type of thing that's going to.
Would you like a cup of ethylene?
Seriously.
No, but that's the question.
Yeah.
And since
Right.
the day we found that out, I mean, I barely buy tomatoes, and peppers in the winter, just because not only do I believe in eating locally, I believe in eating seasonally. And it's hard when you have a farm and we have these amazing tomatoes, and then you buy a store-bought tomato and it's like it doesn't even taste like a tomato at all.
Yeah.
And so I say that, and I feel almost privileged. Like, not everybody can have that produce right in their backyard or as a part of the business that they have.
They sort of can, though. I mean, they could.
There
They
you
could
go.
buy it from you.
That's right. And get it delivered by you.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And that's where I think like localizing our food system and all this is so important, because the USDA organic started out, again, really principled, and the point of it was so you had some sort of way to differentiate between conventional and organic, which is great, but it's become almost as industrial as the
Absolutely.
conventional farming has. So I think the best way to combat it is with localization, because the new USDA organic is knowing your farmer. So I mean, you can come to New Growth Project's farm and you can see what you do. You can get to know both of you, and to me, that's more of a badge of authentication than a USDA organic. So, and that's what I think. My experience was just from having conversations with people who, and I think it stems from hearing stories of people going to farmers markets and selling produce from the grocery store, and sort of nefarious actors like that might make some of that distrust within the farm community. But I think it's a new age for going beyond organic is important, because it doesn't mean what it used to mean.
Well, it's a great time to be alive because we're learning so much all the time.
Yeah.
And we know some organic farmers, and their farms are beautiful, and kudos to them for going through that process and doing what they do. We are just staying close to our convictions that everything that we eat is a low toxin load. And that goes into the products that we make here too. We make candles and soaps and room sprays, and it's all made with organic and clean fragrance and organic essential oils. So whatever we're doing in the field, we're taking that there too, because we know how powerful toxins can be to us. And the overload happens quickly, more quickly than you think. Our skin is the biggest organ that we walk around with, and whether we're grabbing a tomato off the vine or we're putting, a spray on or whatever, being mindful of what we're doing on a daily basis ultimately impacts our health, our well-being. And to your point about talking to different farmers, I think we're seeing a swing after COVID where people really just want to be connected. They want to know where they're buying their food.
Yep.
Maybe they want to know their banker, instead of doing everything online, they want to go into the bank, or they're just thinking of the more face-to-face interactions. Yes, the convenience factor is always going to weigh. And I think that is important because we're all very busy. So getting your food delivered to you from Locavana, definitely a way to do it. But I like how you guys are doing it, because you're giving the story of the farmers that you're working with, so that there is that personal connection. And with New Growth Project, buying product from us, not only are you eating better than organic vegetables, but you're also helping us provide meaningful employment for adults with disabilities. And I just want to take this opportunity to invite the community that's listening to this, come out and volunteer, come out for a tour, see the magic of what can happen on a farm. Because, growing up, I grew up in a farming community, and it just was, simple life. It is so much more. There's so much science that goes into it, and planning. And yes, the simplicity of putting a seed into a little seedling or a little tray and watching it grow is simple, but the complex science that's behind it and the beauty of what's coming from the soil and how it gives you the nutrients is really a wonder to see in person.
Yeah, it's incredible. If you should come out, I agree, and you will be inspired. This place is really cool. Speaking of which, you have also an event coming up on Thursday.
We do.
The 27th of March.
We do.
Talk about that.
So we are throwing a farm social on Thursday, March 27th. Carly and I, as a nonprofit, we knew we were going to have to do some fundraising, of course, and events, but we believe that events should be a way to bring people together. And this Farm Social is going to be surrounded or focused on games. Giant, or not Giant Jenga, but the Giant Connect 4, bag toss, hatchet throwing, the infamous wine ring toss. So it's a lot of fun. We have members from Domestic Problems coming to play, so we're going to have some great music. We have awesome food. A lot of people are going to show up that I think are just like-minded, want to help individuals with disabilities have a fair shot at employment and also help us get good food to the community. So definitely invited to that. It's at City Flats in Grand Rapids downtown, starting at 5:30 p.m.
5:30 City Flats. Can you show up and get in, or do you need a ticket beforehand?
We would love you to buy a ticket so we can be prepared for you.
How does somebody do that?
Right at our website, and we're thenewgrowthproject.org, and click on our events tab, and you can get right to our ticket purchasing.
And we'll put that in the whatever little blurb you're reading when you see this.
And I'd like to plug, since that's right around the corner, we do have our season opening coming up May 10th.
Okay.
And that is such a cool event because not only can you get all the plants for your garden, you can talk to the farmers here to understand, how do I start this, or how do I protect this seedling until it's growing, and do I prune it, do I not? And then we have yard games, we have a pizza truck, we'll have music playing, there's farm tours. Carly puts together a great scavenger hunt for the families. So that's a great way to come out and meet us and understand our mission and learn about where you're getting your food.
Awesome. And that's May 10th, which
May
is a Saturday?
10th. It is.
And how do you sign up, or do you just come?
Come on down.
Yeah, you can come on down. And it's an awesome time, too, because it's the day before Mother's Day. So oftentimes people will bring their moms, get some flowers, because not only do we sell our vegetables that we grow, but we also partner with some local greenhouses and sell like hanging baskets, and pairs really well with our candles and our soaps and all of that for Mother's Day. So it's the same weekend.
That's a great Mother's Day activity.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you were talking to me, just going back to the candles, you reminded me, is like there's the fragrances that are in your typical candle,
Highly toxic.
like really bad for you.
Yeah. So filled with parabens and phthalates. It's like if you buy a candle from a large candle store, remaining unnamed, and light that in your house, it's like having a car run its exhaust system in your home. So we have committed to using only organic soy and only certified clean fragrance. So it's paraben-free, phthalate-free, and we're constantly looking and constantly talking to the vendors that we purchase these products from. What are your processes? How does this go? How do you know, for example, the essential oils that we use, that it's grown in this manner? So we're kind of picky, but for good reason, because like I said before, just the practices in the field that has to carry over into the products that we're making, because we're making them and our employees are making them. We don't want to be exposed to something, and we don't want our customers to go home with something that might make them ill.
That's pretty cool. Now, how did you learn, amongst all the other things, how to make candles?
Well, our biggest mission is to employ individuals with disabilities.
Yeah.
So we farm and we give this great opportunity, and then all of a sudden October, November hits, and we're like, all right, guys, well, it's going to be like 3 months, maybe 4, till we can invite you back. And we just weren't okay with that. And so Christine actually brought the idea to us, and the kitchen of my house was the first candle making and soap making location for the longest time. Moved to the back rooms, and now we have a whole place for it. So it was kind of an unexpected part of our business. We started it, and here we are getting into Kingma's Market actually soon with our soap and candles.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're in 4 retailers: Kingma's Market, we're in Romance Gardens, we're in Pursuit in Ada, Michigan, and we're in My Happy Place up in Ludington with our products.
Nice.
And to layer on top of that, it's evolved into a gift boxing program, which has been an awesome job, especially over the holidays, where companies hire us to ship for all of their clients. And so we ship all over the United States, our gift boxes, and we're always refining and making that better, making sure that the packaging that we're using is recyclable, that it's not plastic. All of our vessels that we use are sustainable vessels. So we take this commitment from point A to point Z.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think that's important too, because obviously the conversation starts with food. That's what you're putting in your body, but it expands so much further than that. Like you said, with the fragrances, and that's part of our mission at Locavana, is to really be a marketplace for everything that you might need at a grocery store, and even some, soaps and candles and all that kind of stuff, where it's just hard to food makes it even a little bit easier because of the certifications and the organic and all that kind of stuff at a grocery store. But with the other things, it's like, it's just a label and that's that. There's no, it's really hard to find things that are truly clean, and there's different names and different things that you learn one week that this is bad and the next that this is bad. And it's just, it's
And
really
how
hard.
would
So-
you even know? I would have
That's
never
the thing.
thought.
Sometimes you don't know the right questions to ask.
and that's where localizing everything is just the best way to do it, no matter what the product, whether it's food or whether it's something else, because that's where you get to the root of how it was made, where it came from, what it's made of, and
trying to understand that and look into it daily can be extremely overwhelming. And that's why, like, even, in the warehouse that we're sitting in right now, we hope to be able to hold like some teaching classes and kitchen, have a kitchen here and teach different classes about local food and what we're putting in our bodies, but not only to the population that we serve for, providing jobs here, but the community as a whole. And just a part of that is like, you might, be able to typically go to, as a neurotypical person, you might be able to go to the store and look and be like, oh, this has all of these ingredients. I shouldn't have that. Whereas someone who might not have such an understanding as you do might not know. And so then we're grabbing donuts and Pop-Tarts and we're grabbing chips and, it's potato, it's naturally derived something. And it's like, okay, well, actually, so it's marketing. And so I can catch that and you might be able to, but I would, I think a big goal of what we're doing here is not only just providing jobs, but I guess if I'm thinking about the population we serve, a big goal of what we want to do is be able to provide jobs and teach them about what they're eating. I mean, we have one of our employees who comes and he brings donuts and for lunch, and I'm just trying so hard. And he's been trying peppers. He tried a bite of kale. He'll get there. It's just going to take
what's a
some
good
time.
one? Apples with cinnamon.
Absolutely.
That is like one of the most delicious snacks that you give that to kids, and they'll take that over a bowl of chocolate.
Yep.
Hey,
So
that's
good.
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome that
Apples
your
and
kids do
cinnamon.
that, because and it's delicious.
Yeah.
It's like
Well, I
apple
went to-
pie, and it's
It is. I went to my daughter's school to make this it was like a Thanksgiving thing. So we were making applesauce, and so we were having to cut up apples and put it in a crock pot and stuff. So we were all done, and then there was a bunch left over. So I just gave it to the kids. And these kids are like freaking out. They're like, I want to do this when I get home. I want to eat more of this.
That's great.
You can. It's probably the best thing you could do, actually.
And what's so beautiful about that is how simple it is.
Yeah.
And that is the coolest thing. Like just even the reference to just grabbing a tomato and a basil, how delicious
Oh, it's
that
so
is.
good.
And just, it really, there's so much beauty in simplicity. And so I think that's why keeping things simple here with what we do on the farm, teaching job skills and just making sure it's just something that anyone can understand, not only benefits the people that we look to serve, but the community as a whole.
No, it's amazing. No, what you guys do is amazing. The you have a whole other side, really, because you're also selling. So you're going to farmers markets. You have a store where people can actually go purchase the candles, purchase the homemade goods, purchase food as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
our produce, and our eggs from our chickens here. And then we do mobile market pop-ups. So we go to businesses in Greater Grand Rapids, and we will set up for like 11 to 1 or their lunch hour, something like that, and have all of our produce there for sale. We partner with a local sourdough company and sell their sourdough.
Our honey,
Our honey,
spices, all of the good stuff. It's really just bringing the farmer's market to people that maybe just don't normally have the time to get to it. It's a great way to treat your staff to an experience of this is how healthy eating looks, and fortifying that culture of health within your organization.
That's so cool.
While teaching people about, hey, this is our mission and this is
Yeah.
what we're doing.
And then the employees are also getting the exposure to that.
Yeah.
To the consumer facing part, to the business side and all that.
Customer service training.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we found with the farm. Like we were talking earlier about how, the sensory output, right? That's one reason why we in the first few months, we're like, oh, so glad we did a farm. But then it was like, okay, we can teach customer service skills. We can teach packaging, labeling, making products like soap and candles, stuff like that. We've even had someone who's very interested in doing some like videography. And so
Wow.
he's going to hopefully be able to like maybe take some videos on the farm and then get some advice, of how like, okay, we could post that on our social media or maybe not, from Christine, who does all the marketing and stuff. And so, eventually when we have the time to do that, but he is really interested in that. And so there's just some fun little, like there's so much. And that's, again, like the farmers markets. And then up here at the store as well. So.
Yeah, the farm has a multitude of jobs where
Yes.
we can meet anyone at their current skill level and then help them level up.
That's amazing. And how many team members do you have?
So we have 10 employees. Well, we now have 12. But we had an open house in end of January. And we have 8 people on our waiting list because not only do we hire, we hire employees who want to learn job skills. We need to hire peer mentors as well. And so we kind of get to a point where hopefully this fundraiser will really help us next week, as well as, fundraisers throughout the year, to be able to hire more. And I think the total on our wait list is 12 people. So that includes people who came to this past open house and then from year before. We have a lot of individuals who volunteer as well with either like their supportive person who aren't necessarily employees, but they are here for the same shift and such. And I think we have like 3 or 4 individuals who do that. So
Yeah, so we have a waiting list, and it's another great opportunity for the community to get involved with New Growth Project. We have the Harvest Partner Sponsorship opportunity where you don't just sponsor an event, you sponsor the farm. And then in return, you either get what we call a CSA or vegetable drop at your organization, or we'll come and set up a farmer's market in exchange for the sponsorship. We'll offer a personalized volunteer day to these sponsors. So they come out, we'll have a professional photographer taking photos so the organization can use it for PR
That's
and
awesome.
culture building. And they always leave happier than they came. It just never fails. And it's a great way to team build, to be part of something bigger than what they are, and to support a mission. Because I think pretty much everyone on the face of the earth believes that everyone deserves the feeling that they are making a difference or they belong to something bigger than them.
Absolutely.
So that by sponsoring the farm, that opportunity lies there too. So those sponsorships help us employ more individuals we seek to serve, bring on more peer mentors, help us build out the warehouse so we have the teaching kitchen. So that opportunity is available too.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Anything else that you want to talk about with the relation to New Growth Project, to the food industry, to
eat local. That's about
local.
all
Yeah.
I gotta say.
It is. It really is. I was thinking as we were talking, how unnatural it would be to give something to somebody and say, "I'm not going to tell you what this is or where it came from, but you should eat it." And we do
Thanks.
that every day.
It's true. It's like the blind test, like the blind tasting. Yeah.
So
Eat this.
weird.
Not gonna tell you what it
Yeah.
is.
Close your eyes
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm just going to give you
Oh,
something.
I used to do that with my siblings all the time. They gave me the worst stuff. So now I'm scarred.
Yeah, that's why you eat local. You're
Yeah,
like, no,
absolutely.
I need to see it.
Yeah.
Well, what's great about just the eat local, and something else that you said, Ben, about the grassroots, that is where the most meaningful things happen. When a community comes together and understands what's important, we're going to band around this and we're going to make it happen for us.
Yeah.
And then you have someone come visit from another part of the country and they observe it and go, wow, I'm going to bring that back to my community, right?
Yeah.
And then that grows there.
Spreads,
So
yeah.
I just think that people are understanding that what has been common is not normal, and they want to make something of where they live better than it has been before. And I think that's the trend.
Incredible. Awesome. You guys have certainly accomplished that here. It's a really amazing place. TheNewGrowthProject.org
You got it.
to donate, to get involved, to sign
Volunteer.
up for the, to volunteer, to sign up for the farm social on March 27th at
got
City
it.
Flats in Grand Rapids, to sign up or just come May 10th, day before Mother's Day, to the opener.
You
That'll
bet.
be a beautiful day. So
And that's also where you can find information about our CSA, which we didn't mention much on here, but
good point.
yeah, so like our CSA membership, you can purchase now and get whatever's in harvest for the 20 weeks, 20 to 22 weeks of the season. You can purchase a small portion or a large, and you can do that weekly or biweekly. And then you can, what you'll get is like a whole bag of different produce from the farm, but you can also go on the store and switch out if you don't want, if you don't like cucumbers and you want to switch that out, we offer options for that. That was just an example. Everybody loves cucumbers, but the other thing is that
Maybe it's radishes.
Can you get
Yeah.
coca-melons?
Cucamelons. Oh yeah, you can get cucamelons. We're amping up the amount of cucamelons we're growing this year. Everybody might not love me for it because they can be hard to see in with the leaves, but it's like one of my favorite things too. It's honestly
I never saw one
meditating
until
to
like
me.
the last 2 months of my life, and they are the wildest looking little things. Because
Yeah.
have you ever seen one? They look like
I think so, yeah.
tiny,
Tiny
little
watermelon.
microscopic watermelons.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they taste like cucumbers.
I recently got the watermelon radish from the farmer's market. Those are
yeah.
beautiful too.
Aren't those?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing about our CSA is we're partnering with Locavana so that you can pay to get that delivered right to your house. So that's
Which is really the best of both worlds. You're
Yeah.
eating local and you have the convenience of it delivered to you. So it
Yep.
really hits both ends of what everybody's looking for.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are excited to continue to partner with New Growth Project on a number of things.
Oh, and look out for new Growth Project products on Locavana here in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, we're
Yes.
excited to bring it.
Lots of excitement. So again, thank you guys very much
thank
for
you.
what you
Thank
do. Thanks for having a little chat, and
Thanks for having us on the podcast. This was fun.
absolutely was fun.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.